Hello, my name is Laura Hamill. I'm a graduate student at the University of Texas at Arlington College of Nursing. This discussion will be a leadership book review for Leadership and Healthcare Systems Nursing Course 5343. The book that we're going to be discussing is The End of Leadership by Barbara Kellerman. For time constraints, I'm not going to go into a lot of the biographical information of Ms. Kellerman. I've listed a website that is a link to all of her bio information, her books that she has published, speaking engagements that she spoke at, her accolades of awards that she has received, the different fellowships at prestigious universities, and the different awards that she has received. So for time constraints, we're just going to move past this to go to the main meat of the slides. So the purpose of the end of leadership is to explain leadership changes that are globally applicable. Kellerman refers to these two tales of her book that are the central themes. The first theme is the changes between leaders and followers. She takes the reader on a historical trip to review the relationships between leaders and followers and highlight that relationship and how it's changed over time. She cites historical figures ranging from Plato, Locke, Machiavelli, Martin Luther King, Freud, Gandhi, and even Hitler to show these different leadership roles through history. Kellerman dives into multiple industries, including political, community level, and corporate leadership sectors. She emphasizes the changes in relationships between leaders and followers. She cites the most impactful changes have resulted from cultural changes and technological advancements. She states the role of democracy has also had a global impact and changed cultures and made an enormous change for leadership and followerships in different countries. Major changes have been seen, and she cites in the book, in Russian and Asian cultures that were once communist structures with dictatorships. There's been an explosion of entitlement from followers. They demand more from their leaders now. They're no longer blindly following. Followers are demanding to be heard for the first time throughout history. There's different modes that people are getting heard. There's social media. There's media itself that is taking the follower's voice, and actually for the first time the last few decades has really emphasized on the follower. The accessibility of information, its ability to reach masses through social media sources on the World Wide Web is the greatest technological effect that's been placed on the relationship between leaders and followers. Instant access to personal information about leaders has changed followers' perceptions of leaders and corporations and government and religious institutions around the world. There's now a focus on followership and not just leadership. There's now a lack of trust in leadership. Followers now see greed in corporate leadership and the corruption in government and religious institutions. The second theme to this book is Kellerman's examination of the leadership industry itself. She reports a statistical negative correlation of the increase in the amount of leadership industry involvement in programs and webinars, and seminars. So an increase in that and a decrease in the quality of leaders that we have, and a decrease in the public trust of leadership over the last 40 years. That was in 2012, last 40 to 50 years. She raises the question, can leadership qualities really be taught at an industry level? And can it be taught in a limited time, like in a workshop or a webinar? Is the leadership industry creating quality leaders? Is the leadership industry doing what it claims it can do? And how can we as a society and the products that we're receiving from the industry, how do we measure quality in a leadership? Can it be measured? She urges the importance and change in this leadership industry and to teach leadership from a more holistic approach, not only to emphasize a central leadership, but also the role of its followers. Targeted audience, professionals seeking leadership and management training in all industries, not just corporate level. I like that about this book. Um, and she hits different sectors. It's in business, it's in politics, it's in community level, it's in healthcare, industrial settings. This book is applicable to all those settings and all those audience. The strongest points that I take away from this book is Kellerman's courage to actually take on her own industry and evenly kind of distribute the blame of the leadership industry problems, both on the follower and on the leader, that there's changes that have to be made. And the book is written for a global audience. She uses a lot of historical references that stretch across the globe, multiple countries. One of her examples is the Tunisian and Egyptian revolutions and how their followers utilize what she calls the digital democracy to change their governmental climate in their countries. She examines governmental perspectives not only from America's perspective, but from other countries. I think that's a strength. She describes the changes in followers and leaders in religious institutions in different sectors. For the first time, the Catholic Church has been challenged from its followers due to allegations of sexual abuse. As the first time in history that dynamic has changed from the leaders of the church and to its followers, the people. I believe it's important to see how leadership roles have changed throughout history in order to appreciate what has occurred so we can see the changes that are really rapidly happening in the last 40 to 50 years that she's describing. The book's shortcomings, there's not a lot. The only thing I would have really liked to have seen was examples of a leadership industry program that was successful, that used the positive attributes of technology and what we have going right now to actually have a quality product of leadership roles in people. Is that measurable? I don't think it is, but there has to be an example of a sector of this that is put out some good leaders that can be commendable instead of just the negative aspects, which there are many, and I'm not saying that they're not negative and it's not true, but I would have liked to have seen an industry uh, leadership program that actually put out a successful program. She achieved her goals. Yes, I do believe she did. She gave multiple historical references, references that were globally different cultures recognizable. She mentioned the cultural and technological changes that were globally relevant to everyone. She reported the chronic dissatisfaction that followers are having with leaders and that changing of that role and that relationship, how there's a wide distrust of leadership due to corruption, and that she warns of the disappearance of the American dream. She questions if the leadership industry can actually achieve the goals of quality leadership traits. And right now, her answer in the current climate is no, it can't be done. Because the bottom line is the leadership industry is booming and leaders are at an all time low, and that they must change and they must revamp their programs with the changing times and connect with new generations and followers. I would personally recommend this to anyone considering a leadership or management or executive role. I've applied learnings of this course that I've currently been in and read this book and agreed that there is a distinct difference between leadership and management. And I think Kellerman gives great examples of this. Um, as a future nurse leader, I strive to apply Kellerman's principles and create that equilateral triangle that she speaks of with giving equal parts to the leadership, followership, and also the current context of our current climate. And I will also be very skeptical of any leadership programs that offer a quick fix or training of new leaders. I don't think it could be done also. I agree with Kellerman. So thank you for your attention and your time.